The one name that people keep talking about, asking where she is going to end up, is Mercedes Moné, aka Sasha Banks. After an appearance on camera at AEW's All In at Wembley Stadium, the rumor was that Mercedes was going to end up with All Elite Wrestling, and that, in fact, was the truth. Now we are talking about Mercedes possibly ending up in the Royal Rumble as we see the return of Sasha Banks to the WWE. Scott D'Amore put out a big statement saying that TNA in the new year is bringing in their biggest free agent signing of all time, and Mercedes' name is attached to that as well. Where is she going? She may not be ending up in WWE after this latest blunder from WWE management. We'll talk about that right here on OTS. I got news on Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle is joining MLW. For how long and what I think of Matt Riddle in MLW, we'll talk about that as well. All the free agents that WWE let go 90 days ago are set to join new promotions this week. We'll go over that as well. Ilja Dragonov, a part of a controversial storyline that has received backlash on social media. And Gunther, he's had some very, very great things to say about The Miz and what he wants to do at WrestleMania. All this plus so much more right here on OTS. But before we get into the news, a quick word from today's sponsor, Imi Ramen Noodles. Man, if there's one thing that I love and I always go to, even when I'm going to the gym and I should be watching my diet, it is noodles. I love noodles. You guys want to eat low carb, but also miss the noodles like I did? I got something for you today, man. And today's podcast is sponsored by Imi. Imi is the tastiest way to cut carbs from your diet so you can get your noodle fix without the guilt and without the food coma. Each packet of Imi has 21 grams of protein and 6 grams net carbs, and you can pick from 6 chef-crafted vegan flavors like creamy chicken, spicy red miso, and black garlic chicken, just to name a few. Now, today I'm making myself the spicy red miso because I like a little kick in my noodles, man. And the spicy red miso has that perfect heat and that perfect flavor just for me. You know, now that I'm going to the gym again, I want to stay lean, man. Each packet of Imi only has 5 grams of net carbs, keeping me lean and active. I'm staying in shape with a delicious, comforting bowl that tastes way better than these bland protein shakes and protein bars. And Imi has me eating ramen again, man. 300 calories, 85% less net carbs than a normal instant ramen, so I don't have to feel guilt anymore about eating something that I genuinely love. So if that looks good and sounds good to you, go to ImiEats.com/JDFromNY or by clicking the link in the description to get 15% off of your order. That's ImiEats.com/JDFromNY to get 15% off and a 30-day money-back guarantee from Imi, so it's literally risk-free. You don't even have to return it. I want to thank Imi for once again sponsoring the podcast right here on Off The Script. Let's start with Ilja Dragonov on NXT, the NXT World Heavyweight Champion. WWE came under criticism for an Ilja Dragonov Ridge Holland storyline that played out at the end of the 12-19 episode of NXT. A lot of people were fearing that this was a legit injury. He was stretchered out, shown being loaded into an ambulance, and the ambulance driving away. It's an angle. It's an angle with Ridge Holland where they pretended or told the story where Ridge Holland broke his neck or injured him severely, where they put a neck brace on him and loaded him into an ambulance. Ridge Holland, of all fucking people. I mean, and then you wonder why people on social media were calling this a distasteful ending to NXT on Tuesday night. The story apparently was filmed last week and played off Ridge Holland being involved in Big E's injury almost 2 years ago. First of all, my question is, right out of the gate, why are we still using NXT talent or main roster talent, I should say, on NXT? I don't understand this. Why are we using main roster talent on NXT when they got their money, they got their TV deal, and every time you bring a main roster talent down there, they don't make the show or the talent that they're involved with better. That's distasteful to me. That's distasteful. Not the angle, the fact that WWE's creativity is so fucking low that they still use main roster talent. The idea was one that Fightful was told was a bit controversial among some in the WWE, but they went through with it anyway. Fightful reported last week that the spot was just an angle, and now they've learned more. Fightful is told by NXT sources that everyone seemed happy with the performance and camera work, and producers seemed to be pleased with the reaction the angle got from the crowd. What reaction? All I heard was negative reaction on social media. WWE producers were aware that most in attendance understood it was an angle because they quickly announced the next show was starting. They filmed several episodes to give the roster off for the holidays. Cameras followed Dragonov all the way to the ambulance and then showed it driving away. Do you understand that Ridge Holland did not intend to break Big E's neck and potentially end his career? Do you understand the amount of hate that this man got on social media for making a fucking error live on television? You know, pro wrestlers get in there and risk their lives every single time they step in between those ropes and that bell rings. Anything can happen. A mistake can happen on one of the most fundamental and academic maneuvers in the entire sport. In this case, it was a spot that really shouldn't have been done with a guy the size of Big E and a guy the size of Ridge Holland. But here we are, hoping that Big E makes a miraculous return to the ring. Do you know the amount of hate that this man got? He got so much hate that he had to deactivate his account, and then when he came back, still received the same amount of hate. Big E forgave him. Big E and Ridge Holland, like men, talked about it. Ridge Holland got Big E a get-well gift. In this case, I think it was like Omaha steaks or something like that, a whole platter of steaks. Big E doesn't eat meat. It was very warm-hearted and just very genuine. Big E, the type of character Big E is, forgave Ridge Holland and moved on with his life. He was, in that instance, after everything that happened, one of the most positive people that I've personally ever seen. Because I don't think I could ever be that positive in any aspect of life. And this man is sitting there with a fucking broken neck and was able to forgive Ridge Holland. Yet fucking Joe Schmo and EO Stan 53435 on social media can't forgive Ridge Holland. This is how disgraceful social media is. It's ridiculous. I don't understand why they feel, NXT feels that they can't drum up interest by doing what the old Black and Gold did, and that was give us serious storylines with great pro wrestling to, you know, sit behind it. It was storytelling, long-term booking, and then the wrestling in Black and Gold. But here we are. If they're not using main roster talents on NXT to boost the interests of their fucking terrible program, then they're doing controversial shit like this to generate interest, but the interest that they're generating is not the interest that you want. But to them, any interest is good interest. Ilja Dragonov's got nobody else down there to feud with, right? Baron Corbin, decent match, nobody gave a shit. Now you're doing an injury angle with Ridge Holland. Where's Ridge Holland on the main roster? You got nothing for him on the main roster? How about a fucking explanation as to why he left Butch hanging? Ridiculous. That's how NXT now, this new version of NXT, that's how lowbrow they are. That's their level of creativity. And you want to know why I don't watch the fucking show on a weekly basis. I pick and choose who I want to watch on that program. That's distasteful. The fact that they can't get over using main roster talents on NXT. Charlotte. She signed the biggest women's contract in WWE history. Great. Great. Ashley Flair, is she worth the amount of money that WWE gave her? That may be up for debate. I don't see anybody being worth that amount of money. I mean, these types of contracts in all forms of sports are getting just astronomically ridiculous. I mean, how can you warrant paying fucking Shohei Ohtani all that amount of money and then potentially not win one fucking World Series with him in your lineup? If they don't win at least 3 World Series, I find that to be a bust. Here we got Charlotte Flair. She signed the new contract. This was before she got injured. Now she's injured. Now, WWE is going to add this time on top of her new contract, I'm sure. The 9 months that she'll be out is going to be added on top of her contract, but she signed the largest women's contract in WWE history. That's not the problem. The amount of money she's making for what she does is not the problem. What WWE did here was actively, potentially, price themselves out with every other big-name female that possibly, A, wants to come into the company or is coming up on a free agent year. Fightful learned that Charlotte Flair agreed to a contract extension with WWE recently that will keep her with the WWE for several more years. This was first talked about by WWE Hall of Famer Medusa on her podcast, where she said she heard this as well, and it took quite a while for people within the company to hear the same thing. Why was it so hush-hush? Charlotte Flair was the first extension that Fightful heard of since the TKO merger, as it happened before the recently reported Dominic extension. Dominic Mysterio, that is, signed for 5 years. Rey Mysterio, his father, signed a 3-year extension with the WWE. In addition, Fightful heard that this is a huge money increase over her last contract as one of the highest paid deals to a woman in WWE history. In addition, a travel bus was included in the deal, which is becoming increasingly more common among professional wrestlers. Charlotte will not be on TV. She is set to get surgery as soon as possible to repair a torn ACL, MCL, and meniscus in an injury that happened on SmackDown last week in a match against Asuka. Now, no details on the contract were reported. None of our business. But the one thing that WWE potentially was not aware of, that they potentially priced themselves out of every other big-name woman who wants to come into the company, and you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks. We're talking about Sasha because the rumor is right now that she's headed back to the WWE, possibly in the Royal Rumble, to take part in the Damage Control, Bayley being kicked out of Damage Control storyline heading into WrestleMania. Mercedes was with AEW. There was rumors that she was going to work with AEW. She had every intention of debuting in Boston at Blood and Guts. She got injured in June. She had to go get surgery. She had to rehabilitate. They put her on camera because she was ending up there anyway after she got healed. And now things drastically changed. Now Scott D'Amore is out there making big-time announcements that they just signed the biggest free agent in the history of the company, and right now all of the free agents that reside in the free agent realm in professional wrestling do not equate to being the biggest signing in TNA history. That reserved for Sasha Banks or Mercedes Moné. She's the only name that fits that bill, that whole hype that Scott D'Amore has created. Now, Mercedes and her asking price is said to be more than what Charlotte Flair will make on her new WWE contract. Flair signed her new deal several months ago, and it's believed to be one of the highest paid deals ever for a female wrestler. Now, the amount she is asking for just happens to be higher, Mercedes. She did not know or was not aware of what Charlotte was making or what Charlotte is signed for. Given what the men make, one could argue that she deserves the amount that she is indeed asking for. It's not clear if WWE is willing to match what Moné is asking for. She's currently a free agent and not signed to any company at the moment, and the working plans for a possibility right now for her to debut in AEW, creative plans for that have been scrapped. Tony brought her into All In. That was in August. There was hope that she would eventually sign with them. Saraya even noted how excited she was about possibly wrestling Moné in AEW. At this point, anything is possible, and it's not a lock that she'll end up back in WWE, and it's still a possibility that she could sign with AEW or even TNA in 2024, which should make 2024 a very interesting year with so many free agents becoming available in the coming months. I don't know if the dirt sheets or if you listening to me are aware of one of the primary factors for why Sasha Banks left the WWE. We can all sit there and blame Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard and John Laryngitis for their terrible creative and their terrible booking of the women's division. The story went, Mercedes and Trinity won the women's tag team championships. They wanted to focus on building the division and making the titles feel important once again after WWE just let the titles die. They won the titles. Then they found out quickly that WWE management, all the three men that I just previously mentioned, lied to them, and now the creative changed. Sasha was supposed to go put over Ronda, and Trinity was supposed to go put over Bianca Belair. That's crazy because they're a tag team and you wanted them to split to go to one show, the other goes to the other show to put over their show's respective champions. How is that building the tag team division? How is that building the tag team titles? Can't really be credible champions if you're going to split them up and then have them fed to Ronda Rousey and Bianca Belair respectively. They were lied to. Then the story came out that Mercedes left and she walked away and she walked out of the company. Nobody fucking reported that Trinity could have been the name that walked away in disgust and Mercedes followed. But Mercedes is the bigger name, and her name in the headlines and her name in the clickbait titles on YouTube and her name and all the dirt sheets are gonna generate clicks. Trinity's not going to generate names or clicks or views or whatever the case may be. Her name is not going to do that. Trinity walks out. It's a big name, but she's not Mercedes. Let's be real. So everybody ran with that story, and nobody came to be devil's advocate and say, well, what if Trinity walked out and then Mercedes followed, and Mercedes was only being a very good friend to Trinity, and Trinity had enough of WWE creative. We knew Sasha was done well before that. But what about Trinity, who waited and waited and remained patient about getting an opportunity? And here's the opportunity with fucking Sasha Banks, of all people, and then they fucked her over again. Did anybody come to that fucking conclusion? Nah, you just ran with Mercedes because Mercedes is going to generate the fucking revenue for you. I get it. I totally get it. They both walked out. Then we find out and hear the rumors and the reports that Mercedes was coming up on a contract year anyway, and she was going to let her contract run out after walking out of the company. WWE apparently did not want to pay Mercedes and give her an extension because they feel like she had peaked. Whatever she asked for, she wanted to be paid more or at least on the same level of what everybody else was making, which she wasn't. WWE said, nah, you know what? You're better off going and finding employment elsewhere. At 30 years old, the woman who started the revolution, the woman who fucking brought women's wrestling back to the forefront in WWE, yeah, you know what? At 30 years old, Mercedes, you peaked. Get out. You fucking kidding me? At 30 years old, a first ballot Hall of Famer, probably one of the greatest women's wrestlers to ever live, he's just going to walk out and claim at 30 years old she's peaked? Now, granted, is she a little prone to injury? Sure. But that's the style she wrestles. She doesn't wrestle like some fucking fluff fairy out there that fucking is afraid of breaking a fucking fingernail. She goes out there and busts her ass. That's the type of woman I want on my fucking roster. So mixed with creative and then not being paid, do you really expect Mercedes to sit with the WWE and get fucked by Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and Bruce Pritchard? No. And yeah, it was that administration because Triple H would never let Mercedes walk out of the fucking company willingly. He had nothing to do with that. That was all the old administration that told her she peaked and didn't want to pay her. Great. What a fucking sound management team they had over there, letting her walk. Now we're in this situation. This current administration paid Charlotte Flair. So what did they do now by this one mega contract they gave Charlotte Flair? What they did is basically two things. One, you pay Mercedes to bring her on in. What you pay her is equal or greater to what you paid Charlotte. If you don't want to do that, this is the second thing, then Mercedes is gone. You lose Mercedes. You're gonna have to give her a fucking private bus, chartered bus, a fucking private jet, first class fucking catering, and everything else that comes along with it. Plus the contract that Charlotte got if you want Mercedes in the company. Oh, well, she's not worth it. She's absolutely fucking worth it. Charlotte is out for 9 months now because she wants to go up to the top rope and do a fucking moonsault that looks disgusting every single time she does it. She fell off the top rope. She's injured. Hopefully she gets back. She's a major name and a big part of the show. Don't want to see anybody ever go down like that. But now you're looking to fill that void where you just gave her all this amount of money. Who do you think is going to fill that void on Friday night? Shotzi? Who's going to fill that void? Me and him? Who's going to fill that fucking void? Mercedes is going to fill that void. Mercedes is tailor-made for this damage control storyline. Royal Rumble return seems absolutely fucking perfect in a fairy tale ending. I mean, I don't know what we're doing here. What WWE realistically did was price themselves out of bringing in Mercedes because now you gave Charlotte this contract. What do you think you got to do to get Mercedes? You think Mercedes already feeling when she was there before as a number 2, she peaked. You pushed her aside because everybody, Charlotte's our number 1. She knew it. Her husband knew it. Her friends knew it. They always looked at Sasha as number 2. Now she's coming in and already going to be behind Charlotte again after leaving? The woman is not a number 2. The woman is a number 1. WWE possibly priced themselves out. WWE now also, Becky's a free agent in 2024. What the fuck do you think you have to pay Becky? Charlotte's going to be the number 1 highest paid female in the history with Becky Lynch looming as a free agent. Please tell me what Charlotte has done that's greater than Becky. What a fucking mess this is. Absolutely disgusting. Mercedes is worth every fucking penny. Becky is worth every fucking penny. 2 names that built this division on their fucking... What has Charlotte done? What has Charlotte done? Charlotte is about Charlotte. Charlotte was never about the division at all. I could get into this all day long. Charlotte is only there for Charlotte Flair. She's not there to better anybody. She's not there to better the division. Charlotte, I mean, she's got fucking a mental disorder. She can't feel. She can't be without a championship or in a championship match. I mean, they probably already gave her the Charlotte in the bank contract, ready to be cashed in after 9 months. Now that you're injured, we'll just give you a title match when you get back. Don't worry about it. We'll give you your fucking 98th title run. That's what you want for your division, right? Ashley Flair, all about Ashley Flair. Yeah, give me a break. Come on now. WWE has made a monumental error here. Because now not only you got to pay Charlotte, you got to pay Sasha, you got to pay Becky. How much money are you going to pay all 3 of these women to do what? I understand women want to make just as much as the men, but now... And I know WWE's making all this amount of money, the most money they made ever. But if you want Mercedes, you just basically put yourself in a corner where if you don't pay, you ain't getting Mercedes. And now Tony Khan, that door that was seemingly closed, all Tony Khan has to do is come up with the bag, give her some creative where she walks in as number 1 and give her free reign to do whatever the fuck she wants to do. But I don't even trust that because their women's division and the stories that they're telling there are basically non-existent. Their division is worse off than anybody. Why would she even want to go there? The money's not the problem. The creative is where Sasha is going to really find the most interest. I don't know. Royal Rumble, possibility. TNA, possibility. AEW, once again, now a possibility. There is this unpredictability about where she's going to end up. But with this, if WWE ain't paying, they ain't getting money. Several WWE stars become free agents as of this week. On Thursday, the following names will be free and cleared to sign with any promotion they want. Ali, Aaliyah, Impact. She'll do well over there. Shelton Benjamin, Rick Boogs, Dana Brooke, also I see in TNA. Daba Kato, Elias, Quincy Elliott. Fuck out, where's he gonna go? Ulyssa Leon, Mace, Mansoir, or Mace and Mansoir, Riddick Moss, Riddle, who I have news on, Shanky, Top Dollar, Bottom Dollar, Dollar Tree, and Dolph Ziggler. None of these names equal the biggest name in TNA history. Dolph Ziggler is one of the best pro wrestlers on the planet. He'll land and find work easy. Shelton Benjamin as well. Ali as well. I think Ali was already booked for a GCW show in Chicago, middle of January. He'll be going one-on-one with Gringo Loco. And I could see Elias end up in Impact. I could see Dana Brooke end up in Impact. I could see Riddick Moss end up in Impact. A lot of these names are going to be able to find work. They're very good at what they do. But all of these names are now free agents, but none of them equal the big hype that Scott D'Amore has created. So some of these names obviously are NXT, 30-day non-compete for NXT, 90-day for the main roster. We'll see where these names land. Matt Riddle is the biggest name of this bunch. He is headed to MLW after a successful run in NXT and on the main roster, holding the Raw Tag Team titles with Randy Orton. Things went downhill for Riddle when Orton was sidelined with a serious back injury. Riddle went to rehab last summer due to substance abuse issues that resulted in failed drug tests. I know. Matt Riddle is a great pro wrestler. Sorry for the fucking crying. Failed drug tests. He had been paired with Drew McIntyre before his release. He was among the mass talent releases that hit the company hard across NXT and the main roster a few months ago. As previously reported, Riddle's people had been in talks with several companies, but he couldn't sign with anyone until his non-compete ended on December 21st. Riddle is now headed to MLW. He will be wrestling Jacob Fatu at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, which is the old ECW arena. Riddle on January 6th will be wrestling Jacob Fatu in a dream match. MLW couldn't legally sign Riddle until his WWE non-compete clause was up. PW Insider noted MLW sources confirmed to them that Riddle will be debuting with the promotion on that date. So I know a lot of people are asking, well, is this him going full-time to MLW? Probably not. This is probably a bucket list thing for him to do in the world of pro wrestling. They need to sell that show in the middle of January where things are probably slow. That's a mega match. Jacob Fatu's incredible. Matt Riddle versus Jacob Fatu should be an absolute fucking banger of a match. I don't think Matt Riddle is going to settle down full-time in MLW because honestly, from me to you, who the fuck watches MLW on a weekly basis, Matt Riddle's more than likely headed to AEW or even TNA in the new year, and I'm assuming, this is just my personal opinion, that this is a handshake deal or a day-to-day deal, very short-term contract where he's going to work, do some dates, wrestle some big names, and then move on to do his next thing. I don't think anybody should really sit there and say, oh, Matt Riddle is going to be wasting his time in MLW. No, this is just a one-time thing, very short-term with MLW. And finally, Gunther. Gunther and The Miz wrapped up their storyline on Monday Night Raw. Very good stuff from both The Miz and Gunther on Monday Night Raw. Went 20-plus minutes for the IC title, and they had a very good match, probably the best match of Miz's career. And Gunther really showcased what he could do in this feud with The Miz as well. He says this, very interesting stuff here in regards to what he felt like or what he was feeling in this feud with The Miz. I was very proud of that and very happy with it too, meaning what happened there, his improvement in the promo department, going back and forth with The Miz. I feel like for anybody that speaks a different native language, it's a little bit tricky to keep up a fluent dialogue in a different language because it has to go through the process of you got to translate it in your head first, and that gets better over time. But it's still a process. But yes, especially the program I had with The Miz was fantastic for myself. I enjoy being in the ring with guys who have a similar style to me, but I got to say, I even more enjoy the challenge of being with somebody that is completely different and like Miz is a polar opposite to who and what I am. The guy, he's been in the company for 20 years. He's an absolute pro. And I feel like maybe besides the thing I did at the beginning with Sheamus, the program I had with The Miz was like the thing that benefited me the most so far in my WWE run. That's some strong words right there. And that goes to show you what Miz and the perception of The Miz was coming into this thing and what The Miz now is being perceived at after this. Gunther is so fucking good, people are thinking that The Miz is some world-class professional wrestler. He's not. But when Miz wants to show up to work, he's going to go out there and show up to work. The Miz benefited from this. People wrote him off completely. Done. No, I don't want to see him no more. And people kind of opened their, well, where the fuck is this Miz been? Why don't we get this Miz? The Miz gave himself new life. WWE gave Miz new life by putting him in this program with Gunther. Gunther benefited from The Miz as well, standing toe-to-toe with The Miz, promo, back and forth, getting that dialogue going, feeling a little bit more confident going up against one of the best talkers in the business in Mike Mizanin. So it benefited both guys greatly. And I enjoyed it. It's over now, but I enjoyed it for what it was, and I seen it for what it was. Both guys benefited greatly in this, and maybe we'll see a different Miz in 2024. Gunther also claimed that he wants to face. He was not holding back at all about what he wants at WrestleMania. He wants Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 40. He says, I'm always in the position of I don't have to seek out anyone. I'm the one with the target on his back, and whatever comes, comes. But ideally, I feel like I don't know if WrestleMania 40 is the time for that, and we'll see. But I feel like in the long run, the one name I'll always bring up is Brock Lesnar because I feel like I'm the end boss for a lot of people. But I feel like Brock Lesnar is someone that perfected being an end boss, and I got to prove myself with him in the ring too. I think it's for myself especially. If Punk and Rollins is the main event of night one, where if Punk wasn't involved in the World Championship, Rollins would more than likely be getting Gunther. But right now, we're looking at Punk Rollins in the main event of night one for WrestleMania, which eliminates, for now, Rollins versus Gunther, which was the original plan for a lot of people. Punk Rollins night one of WrestleMania, where does that leave Gunther? You could do Chad Gable, you could do some other unimportant Intercontinental Championship match, or you could give me a WrestleMania match that fits the bill with Gunther defending the Intercontinental Championship against Brock Lesnar, who is looking to end another streak at WrestleMania, which right now, Gunther's streak is reaching epic proportions. I mean, I'm all for it. I don't think anybody's going to fucking have a problem with that. Imagine that. And he beats Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, solidifying and case closed, the greatest Intercontinental title run of all time. Who he loses it to, we'll figure that out at a later date, whether he vacates it, whether he goes and wins Money in the Bank, or they create the King of the Ring for him to win to get a championship match, and then wrestle whoever the champion is. I don't know. But Gunther Lesnar is a WrestleMania match that more than likely, if Punk gets Rollins at Mania for the World Heavyweight Championship, that we would be seeing at WrestleMania. So we will see what happens there, and that has got a lot of people excited. Guys, thank you so very much for this OTS Extra. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below of all the major stories here. Let me know what you think of the Sasha story. Let me know what you think of the Ilja Dragonov story with Ridge Holland, and everything else down below in the comment section. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for notifications. And please go check out all the other content on the channel. Plenty of it on the homepage. Social media at JD from NY206. That's X, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. Guys, I'll see you right back here with more news right here on Off The Script. I'll see you guys later.